Most people imagine that reaching 1 million invested feels like crossing a finish line. They picture some huge emotional moment where everything suddenly clicks, the stress disappears, and they instantly feel wealthy. But for most people, what actually happens is much quieter than that, and in some ways much more important. Because 1 million does not magically change your life overnight. It changes the mechanics underneath your life. Your routines may look the same. You might still live in the same house, drive the same car, and go to the same job on Monday. But the math working in the background starts behaving differently, and that shift changes what is possible for you from that point forward. In this video, we're going to break down what really happens when you reach 1 million invested, what changes in your decision-making, what new risks show up, and why some people still feel stuck even after hitting a number they thought would solve everything. If you want practical money videos that focus on what actually happens, not just hype and screenshots, hit like and subscribe. Now let's start with the first thing people misunderstand about 1 million, which is that the biggest change is structural, not cosmetic. Section 1. The number feels big, but the shift is structural. 1 million is a big number, but the reason it matters is not the way most people think. Culturally, it gets treated like a status number. It sounds like a label. Millionaire feels like a category of person, and that can make the milestone feel more cosmetic than it really is. Almost like the point is to look successful rather than to build a stronger financial life. What makes 1 million important is not the status, it's the threshold. It's the point where your system starts behaving differently. Before that, progress usually feels like something you force with effort. You save, you contribute, you wait, and the balance moves. But it often feels like you are doing almost all the work. At 1 million, compounding becomes visible in a way that changes how progress feels. Market movement is no longer background noise. It starts influencing your outcomes in ways you can actually notice without needing a spreadsheet to prove it. That is the real shift. Not lifestyle flexing, but financial mechanics. Your day-to-day life may not change right away, and in many cases, it shouldn't. But the engine underneath your life gets stronger. The portfolio becomes large enough that time and market returns can move the number meaningfully, which means your future is no longer being built only by what you can add from your paycheck. And that is the core theme for this entire video. 1 million often changes your financial mechanics before it changes your lifestyle, which is exactly why some people miss how important the milestone really is. Section 2. Your portfolio stops acting like a bucket and starts acting like an engine. Before 1 million, most people experience their portfolio like a bucket. You put money in, and that is what makes the level rise. The market matters, of course, but emotionally, it still feels like your contributions are the main story. If you stop adding, progress feels like it slows to a crawl, so your attention stays focused on how much you can save each month. As the portfolio gets larger, that experience starts to change. The base itself begins creating movement. A normal year in the market can add an amount that rivals what you contribute, and in some years, it can exceed it. At that point, your portfolio stops feeling like a container you keep filling and starts feeling like an engine that is generating momentum on its own. That shift is where compounding becomes real for a lot of people. Most people understand compounding in theory long before they feel it. They know the formula, they've seen the charts, they've heard the phrase that money makes money. But when the portfolio is small, it still feels abstract. At a larger balance, the numbers stop being abstract. You look at your account and realize the movement is no longer coming mostly from your effort. The base you built is now participating in a meaningful way, and that changes your psychology. You stop seeing every contribution as the only thing keeping the plan alive, and you start recognizing that the system can move even when you are not pushing as hard. That does not make contributions irrelevant, but it does change your relationship with them, because the engine is finally strong enough for you to feel it working. Section 3. The weird part. It often feels anticlimactic. The weird part is that reaching 1 million often feels less dramatic than people expect. A lot of people imagine it will feel like a clear emotional finish line, like the day they finally relax and think, okay, I made it. But in real life, it can feel surprisingly normal. You wake up, go to work, pay bills, answer emails, and nothing around you looks different. The house is the same. Your routine is the same. From the outside, your life may look exactly like it did a few months earlier. That can make the milestone feel anticlimactic if you were expecting a visible transformation. But the change is not fake. It is just mostly invisible. What shifts is the financial backdrop behind your life. The pressure often changes before the lifestyle does. You may feel less fragile, less dependent on every single paycheck going perfectly, and more confident making decisions that used to feel risky. You might not spend differently at all, but you start thinking differently because you know you have a stronger base under you. That is why 1 million is such an invisible milestone. The biggest change is usually internal. It shows up as more margin, more confidence, and more optionality, not applause or obvious status signals. And if you understand that, you are much less likely to miss the real value of the milestone just because it did not come with fireworks. Section 4. Your main job changes at 1 million. At 1 million, your main job starts to change. Before this stage, the job is mostly to push. You are trying to build the base, which means saving aggressively, contributing consistently, and doing the repetitive work that gets the portfolio large enough for compounding to matter. In that phase, your progress is heavily tied to what you add, so contribution size feels like the main scoreboard. After 1 million, the job becomes more about protecting and allocating. Protecting means avoiding unforced errors that can do more damage now that the base is meaningful. A bad decision at this stage matters more than a small improvement in returns. Allocating means using capital intentionally instead of just defaulting to put in more no matter what. You start asking better questions about what each dollar is doing, whether it is building safety, shortening the timeline, preserving flexibility, or funding an opportunity with a clear purpose. That shift changes how success should be measured. At this level, success is not only about how much you contributed this year, it is also about the quality of your decisions. Did you stay steady during volatility? Did you protect the base? Did you use your resources in a way that improved your long-term position without creating unnecessary risk? That is the quieter skill set that starts to matter more after 1 million. The building phase still matters, but stewardship starts to matter just as much. Section 5. The mistakes that keep people stuck even after they reach it. Reaching 1 million does not protect you from mistakes. It just changes the kind of mistakes that can hurt you. One trap is lifestyle creep. As the portfolio grows, spending can quietly rise to absorb the extra breathing room. It usually happens through small upgrades, not one big decision, and the result is that your balance grows while your financial pressure barely changes. The second trap is the opposite. Some people hit 1 million and still think like they are stuck in the early grind. They keep hoarding, over-restricting, and never use the flexibility they built. The portfolio grows, but their life stays tight because their mindset never caught up. The third trap is complexity. People abandon the boring process that got them there and start chasing faster gains with concentrated bets or unnecessary risk. They already built something that works, but impatience makes them try to force the next stage. If you avoid these traps, 1 million can create real freedom. If you don't, you can end up with a bigger number and the same stress. Here's the core truth. 1 million invested is the point where money starts changing your options in a real way, but only if you make the shift from builder mode to steward mode. Getting there is about pushing, saving, and staying consistent long enough for the base to become meaningful. What comes after is about protecting that base, making better decisions with it, and letting compounding keep doing its job. If this helped you think about the milestone more clearly, hit like and subscribe, and I want to hear from you in the comments. If you hit 1 million tomorrow, what would change first? Your work, your saving strategy, or nothing at all? Also, watch the next video, 10 signs you are secretly wealthy. It will help you see the less obvious markers of financial strength, especially the ones that matter more than just a big number.